our host for the next panel about the online urban tourism speaks Hebrew, English, German, French, and many other languages as requested on this panel. And I'm talking about a newscaster and an editor of radio and Israeli television. Please help me welcome Igal Ravid.
Sorry for being late. Actually, we're misled, I think. They've been telling us that we're going to be running late with this panel, but however, it's a great pleasure, really, an honor for being here. Thank you, Orly, for inviting me.
The first Jewish conference that is on time.
The reason I was late is because we're having, we are in the news industry. I'm in the Israel National Broadcasting Service, Rashut HaShidur, radio and television, and for some reason I forgot to cancel my shift tonight. So, you have to explain them 2, 3, or 4 times what you need for the news tonight, and this is why I came late. However, I'll sit down with your permission. Wow, people. Everybody here is from elsewhere, or there are other people from Israel here too? No, just you? Okay. United States. Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Oh. La France. Who are the people? Where are they from? Ah, you are. So where are you guys from? Where are you from? Yeah. Belgium. Ah, België. La Belgique, 4 points. Switzerland, okay. Die Niederlande. And finally Finland, 12 points. Okay. Yeah, the reason, I had the honor and pleasure of hosting the Eurovision song. Everybody's watching the Eurovision? Yeah? Yeah. Remember there was a Eurovision in Israel? In 1 century ago? So I had the luxury of hosting the event in Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel, with all the respect to all of you, and here's the reason why I ask everybody where are you from, or I try to. Israel is the most exciting place on earth. I can prove it. How much time I have? How much time you have? Here's the reason why. Our national singer, Yoram Gaon, has a song. I've been to Paris and Rome. I've traveled all over the world. I've seen every single thing that you might think of, but there is only one place I keep coming back to, and this is my place, Israel, because here you have the most that you can get in the smallest place possible. And depends what you're looking for, it doesn't matter. You get it all here. For many years we've been asking ourselves, how come not everyone in the world is coming to Tel Aviv or coming to Israel to check us out? It turned out to be that many people were afraid because of the political situation. It's not the most quiet place on earth, but hey, do we need quiet places? Who's from Switzerland? You're from Switzerland? If we need quiet places, we go to Arosa, yeah, or Lugano, yeah, or Locarno. But if we want to get the value of visiting a place, enjoying the place, its options, its attractions, and its people, here's the place you're coming to. With all the respect, I love Zurich. So we gathered here today to find out why do we love Israel and how this all changed in the last decade or so. How come that Israel can take that little thing that we call digital tourism, improve it, transform it into the mass numbers that we see in the past few years. Yael Tzchori, let me have a quick presentation of each and every, quick introduction of each and every one in our panel, So you'll meet them, and then we'll ask them the questions. And then, if we have enough time, which I believe we do, we'll let you ask questions or make your comments. So go ahead. Yael Tzchori from Tel Aviv.
Hi, Yael Zahori, and I'm the Director of Tourism of the City of Tel Aviv. And I live in Tel Aviv, and our main goal is to turn Tel Aviv into a leading urban touristic destination.
Okay. Josh?
Josh Metnick. I'm chairman of Mysterious Source of Capital, which is the first time I've seen the name in print, so I guess not so mysterious anymore.
What is it exactly?
We're a early stage venture fund that focuses on enterprise software, the geographic domain name space, and a little bit in digital currencies. We recently completed the sale of Chicago.com to the 8th largest newspaper group in the United States, and are looking to develop Tel Aviv.com right now with the city.
Hello.
Hello, Patricia, ça va?
Bien, merci beaucoup. So my name is Patricia Lahi Engel. I am the head of a startup accelerator, which is called the Hive by Gvahim. We belong to Gvahim, which is a non-profit organization helping highly skilled new immigrants coming from around the world. We have this chance of having 25,000 new immigrants coming every year from around the world to Israel. And we help them bring innovations to Israel by helping them creating startups, most of which are actually linked to the field of tourism, travel, smart cities, and so on.
Mordechai Holtz. We never met.
I never met, no.
Yeah.
Mordechai Holtz. I am the new media director of iTravel Jerusalem.
דבר למיקרופון.
מה? ככה?
Just speak to the mic.
Okay.
We all have to.
New media director at iTravel Jerusalem, as well as serving as a consultant to several large companies and startups around Israel and abroad for their new media and digital marketing to help them position themselves as experts and leading industry leaders.
Hello, my name is Anat Shicho, and I'll be talking about who is the new tourist. Before we start develop applications and think how to approach the tourist, we first have to find out who is the new tourist and what is his characters.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Jordi William. I'm coming from Barcelona. I am the CEO of Barcelona Tourist Board. I'm supposed to be leaving at the other side of the Mediterranean.
You are...
Just leaving at the other side of the Mediterranean.
Okay.
So we'll leave it on the other side. It's 4 hours. It's 4 hours, 30 minutes flight. So you can share some flights and come to see also in Barcelona.
Yeah, we actually, I love Barcelona.
So come again.
I know, I do, but I love Israel too.
I also like.
Do you like
I
it?
also love Israel, but I also like Barcelona. So it's
You
not
know
a question. It's not a question of love. It's a
You know
question of
what?
traveling.
If Spanish tourists,
No.
And-
I am from Barcelona, which is different.
I know, if Catalan and Spanish tourists,
I said Barcelona, but it's a bit
if Barcelona, Catalan and Spanish tourists
and European also.
would come to Israel as much as Israelis go to Spain,
Well, no
we would
problem.
be the most touristic country in the world.
We haven't started, and we also started to make a mutual program of sharing air tickets. So depends on the price, we can do it.
Okay, we can make barter, trade. מה
Of
יש?
course, we started.
Anat, let me start off with you. Anat, to those of you who don't know her in person, I've known her for many years in person. We're good friends. Anat she didn't mention it, but she's the press secretary and the one and only spokesman of the Israeli Ministry of Tourism.
But you know, you said Barcelona and the rest of Spain. It reminds us the Tel Aviv and the rest of Israel. You know,
So Barcelona,
you know that story. Okay.
Anat, you see, Barcelona has three different identities.
Yeah.
Barcelona, Catalonia, and Spain. And guess who else? Who knows what else? Anat,
Okay.
the numbers, the figures that you keep showing us in the last few years about how much the tourism has made this big boom and big increase. Is it digital tourism that you're talking about that changed it?
Look, the tourism is changing all the time. And I believe that before we start dealing with approaching, we have to find out who is the tourist, as I said. And you know, Benjamin Franklin already said that an investment in knowledge pays you the best interest. So recently, we have been shown a research done by Professor Yaniv Poria from Ben Gurion University about this subject. And he said, you know, let's first talk about the youngsters. This is the me generation, you know, all the selfies and the youngsters, they want to be cool, they marry late, they're a bit lazy, they're a bit narcissists, and they travel to destinations where they want what they want to be. Let's say they want to be a nature scientist, they travel to count penguins. You know, and this is and thanks God I'm not 22, that's what I have to tell you. And they also have some psychological characteristics. You know, the new tourist is very tired, is very worn out, is stressed, and he is aware, his physical condition is not very good, but he wants to improve it. He wants to improve it, and he wants to think that he's environmental friendly. We call it environmental wannabe. And he's secular, he's self-absorbed. He doesn't care to lose his privacy, you know, he takes a photo of his clothing, his room, his bed, his friends, his family, everything is shown on the Instagram and everything. And he also wants to be in a place where people are treated nicely. You know, if he goes to hotels, he wants to know that the employees are not being exploited. And he wants to be his environmental wannabe. And also we have to take consideration in the environment he's living in. Let's say, you know, there are global trends like increase in the middle class population, especially in India, China, Brazil, Russia. Also, there is a huge increase in the Muslim travelers. You know, researchers shows that in the year of 2050, about 50% of the travelers will be Muslims. This is something we have to take into consideration.
This is a very important point that you're making here.
Yes.
Do you have today Muslim tourists coming to Israel?
Yes.
Where from?
Not many people know, but there are Muslim tourism from France to Israel.
Organized or
They want to
private?
come to Jerusalem. They want to see the holy places. There are groups. They are very friendly. We love them. We encourage them to come. Yeah, there is a Muslim tourism to Jerusalem from Europe.
And the security authorities don't make problems for stuff like that?
Look, we don't do with the security. The security, they do their job, but they are coming, and we
From
welcome
France,
them.
from where else?
Especially France.
Especially?
And also some Africa. They're coming from Africa also.
Yeah.
I'll be talking about women, you know. Women, it's a close subject to me. More and more women are traveling alone. They live longer. They get richer. Also, the family tree is becoming a bush, you know. Family ties are getting weaker. And the new tourist has a pet. Usually they have a pet.
That's traveling with them?
More and more places, touristic places, have places for pets. So this is a trend which will grow. We believe we will grow. The age of marriage is getting late. The new tourist has less children. He eats healthy, you know, the trend of healthy food, and also sensibility to the environment. So we have to consider that. And there is one more thing about behavior, new tourist behavior is going to short trips a few times a year. You know, it used to be much longer, once a year, 8, 9 days. Today is a few days, city breaks, a few times a year, and this is the new trend. And the most, in the And the most amazing trade now is that we are moving from must-see to must-experience. The experience to the tourists nowadays is the most important thing. So when we come to the tourists and start to develop applications and online and everything, this is the basic things we need to know. Thank you.
But you're using it, and you believe that the stuff that you just mentioned, all the points that you made, that reflect somehow in the way you approach your attitude towards incoming tourists. Do you see the difference using this information, using the data, and using all the applications that you can possibly think of? Does it make the change?
The new tourist is an online tourist, but you have to know what to give him, what content to give him. If, let's say, if a tourist comes to a city, you can have an application with all the organic restaurants, where he can have a hotel with pets, and the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay. Organic restaurants. I love it. Yeah. Shawarma. Yeah. Shawarma stand in Tel Aviv. Organic cats.
I agree that the new tourist, oh. Okay,
No,
he meant-
to live organic, sure. Yeah, okay.
I agree that the tourist has definitely changed the model, or I think the typical tourist has definitely changed in the way their experience. But I think that as people who are working in the digital space and looking to create more of an urban market, we have to be more willing to engage them at the very, very granular level. That is and proof is all over the place, but creating the content, like you said.
דבר למיקרופון, we
apologize,
hardly
my
hear you. It's very sensitive microphones.
Creating the content to them means that you have to not just try to sell the experiences that we're trying to sell or we're trying to promote, but rather move to the softer kind of approach, which is to really literally have people, and there are people in this room who are doing a great job, because I know many of the people who are working in the digital space here, really creating experiences identified for each person who is, whether they're tweeting, posting on Instagram, Facebook, their blog, whatever it is, and creating literally a one-to-one experience that was mentioned in the previous panel for each tourist, because like you said, the experience they are having, each person as a city level and as an urban, we need to do is take that experience and give it to them from the city and really bring it down to the one-to-one. I happen to agree that the model is right in terms of the the typical tourist. I also wanted to just compliment Spain, because they're doing a very good job of taking Instagram and using it as a way to give each tourist their voice. Their amazing platform right now is doing an amazing job on what they're doing and how to create that one-to-one experience.
Mordechai, you're the ambassador of Jerusalem.
Yes.
Okay. How Jerusalem attracts tourists, just by using its power of the old and the ancient and the sacred and everything,
No.
or using, let's say, people, hipsters, young guys, people who come to Tel Aviv to have fun. I'll talk about it later. You're knowing that lots of them coming to her, using her platform to attract them to you, using digital.
I was going to say it's both. Actually,
Okay.
there's actually a third one as well. The holy sites, no question, Jerusalem has that kind of in the bag. And I think that is definitely a value that Jerusalem looks at and uses to its advantage. The change is, like you said, is that they want to take the experience and not just take the picture of the Kotel, just a picture of the Kotel that could be on any postcard, but much more of themselves at the Kotel, and gives that sense of credibility. There are several marketers online who have said that basically business cards and postcards have kind of can throw them out the window because the selfie is taking that over. And that being part of it, that's one of it. The other one is the hipster scene. I've spoken to several leading travel industry marketers who have said that the hipster scene in Jerusalem, and this was completely shock to me, the hipster scene in Jerusalem is actually better than in Tel Aviv, not because I'm trying to say one up them, but rather these people have actually said this and have proven it to me, and he's sent me, and several of them have sent me their hipster guide to Jerusalem. And the third thing is we also have the innovation. And we kind of, our tagline, and I've used it in many contexts, is 3,000 years of innovation allows us to really be taking part of that, to take part of that ecosystem and to really leverage it to our advantage.
Okay, I get back to you.
No problem.
Jordi, just a moment, Patricia. Jordi, our guest from Barcelona. Okay, tell me about, a little bit about your work a little bit.
No, but I think just one idea in terms of figures. In 1950, that's last century, there were only 25 million travelers around the world. Now the figures of last December, it goes up to 1,080 million visitors. So going up, right? 5% every year. Then the question is, how has it happened? Airplanes is a good excuse, it's true, but there are other reasons for that explanation. Now there are lots of people traveling around, and there is a lot of segments. You know, technology has put a new challenge on that way of analyzing the information. So the question is, what is the use of technology for all that 1,080 million? And it's going to grow and grow and grow. So it's families, elderly people, sports, health, business. So there's a lot of reasons to travel. So you have to be able to know what you want to sell, perhaps several cities you want to sell, not only one. That's what we are doing. We are not selling one Barcelona, we are selling several Barcelonas because there are several options to come to visitors. And the most important reason for us is just to tell a story for each of them. So you have to be able and be consistent on the story of your city. And that story has to be capable to fit for a sportsman or woman, for a person who wants to do a surgery, for a person who wants to do business, for a person who wants to do history, culture, etc., etc., etc. That's a bit more complicated, but the most important thing is the story you want to tell about your city. Because if your citizens are not proud of that story, they will kick that story.
What do you conclude in story? What is a story? Give me a story. Give me a story.
2,000 years of history.
Okay, second story. We have 3,000 here.
We love to live there, and we are proud of meeting people and to tell about us, food, monuments, street, shopping, and we are humble of being like that. You can do the same, but you have to believe it. It's not a question of telling it. You have to be proud of yourself, the same as when we won the Champions League. It's not a question of winning. It's a question of being proud of winning it. It's not exactly the same. It's a question of, you said it before, but identity.
Winning the football league or winning anything at all is a festivity. Is festivities that Barcelona is famous for, carnivals.
What challenge?
Well, let me ask you, how do you explain the fact that Barcelona has become like a cornerstone for young people traveling for carnivals, for parties, for beaches? How did it change? In the last decade or so, each and every young person that I'm talking to is going at a certain place during the first 2 years of his traveling to Barcelona. How do you explain that?
Combinations of different elements. One, places where they can meet. They have to be venues to meet. Atmosphere, climate. Imagine January in Berlin. Sorry for those who are in Berlin. So it's a question of different elements. It's not only one point. It's a lot of different points which makes it all together. It makes a place. And it's a question of letting people do what they want in a certain box. The city is a box. So you can be closed box or open box. And of course you have to fit different attitudes moving around that box. And it's not easy sometimes because people always want more. And you have to make this combination between those who come to visit and use that box and those who are living permanently around that box and are in that box. So sometimes you fit, sometimes you have problems. The question is the balance.
Okay, Patricia, we didn't hear you yet.
Yes, I think that at the end of the day, innovation is bottom-up. And a lot of innovation comes from the ground, from people who have experienced pain and have innovative ideas for answers. And everything, all you are doing in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in the Ministry of Tourism in Barcelona, we can just enhance and support this innovation. We have examples at the Hive of startups that were generated by immigrant entrepreneurs or returning citizens who have spent many years abroad that really that are cooperating with municipalities. We have localized, for example, a group of 4 Russian women. They are supposed to be in this conference today. They are a culture-specific city guide that helps travelers to find locals who share their culture and speak their language. Because today travel is all about getting advice from peers, from people that are exactly like you. We have an application, ThemeGo, which is the trip advisor of theme parks. I mean, it's an innovation coming from Israel, but that is actually geared towards the outside markets. We don't have theme parks, unfortunately, in Israel. We have Cronus, that is a city guide, but crowdsource city circuits. You can, for example, suggest a route of vegetarian tourism or biking in Tel Aviv. We have, you mentioned dogs, we have Doggies, which is an application for dog owners to meet their friends. And
Dogs are great, cats are even better. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Being French person,
Yes.
having big French population, in Jewish population, with everything that's going on right now, coming to Israel all the time, using its roots and its history and the history of the families coming here, do you use digital tourism to have them come, or they have their own experience knowing all those people that they've already met or relatives that they have in Netanya or Ashdod?
Yes. First of all, we of course use social media to promote our activities like everybody else, but I can tell you of some initiatives of French new immigrants that created a city guide also for Tel Aviv, where a family of 2 French people with 4 kids moving to Israel in their late 40s and trying to find a way to have a livelihood. Decided to create a city guide on Tel Aviv and actually open a lot of doors to French tourism to Tel Aviv.
French, like not Jewish, like Christian French people come to Israel knowing that there is a big infrastructure of French-speaking people in the industry of tourism?
Yes, I can even tell you that there is a new kind of tourism, which is a startup tourism. We receive at the Hive a lot of delegations who are interested to learn about the startup nation and what is it we do right here in Israel and what is our secret sauce. And we receive them, we show them around, and we expose them to startups and to the local ecosystem. And it is a fantastic opportunity for the country.
Yael Tzchori, the ambassador of the city of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv, it's like they say that there is New York and there's the United States. There is Zurich and there is Switzerland. There is Berlin and there is Germany, but definitely Tel Aviv, like Barcelona, stands for itself, right? How did it come to the point?
Okay, we wish to follow Jordi's actions and become like Barcelona.
You're doing not bad.
Yeah,
You're
he
doing not very
inspires
bad.
us. Jordi inspires us. Okay, so what we identified is that the tourists in Tel Aviv divide into 2 main types. The tourists that come to Israel and spend 1 night in Tel Aviv, 1 night north, 3 nights in Jerusalem, come back to Tel Aviv. And then there are the tourists that spend most of the nights in Tel Aviv. And there are these urban tourists that discover the city. We made a research. We tried to see if they have any special characteristics, if they're different than the regular tourist. And we found out the tourists that come to Tel Aviv as individuals are mainly FITs. They come, 89% of them are coming as FITs, individuals. 60% of them are returning guests. They come once, they love the city, they come back. 89 of them want to come back after they've been here. and they mainly search information in the internet. So we have these urban tourists that found the city, discovered the city, and enjoy coming to Tel Aviv especially. And of course, while they're here, they go to Jerusalem, they go to the Dead Sea.
How does digital tourism, the field tourism, help it out?
You know, when I meet people, journalists or delegations or tourists, I usually ask them what their friends. I met a German delegation a couple of weeks ago, and I asked them what their friends thought about them coming here. Most of them said that their friends thought they're crazy and it's dangerous, and why do they come to Israel? And then I asked them, okay, so you're here for a couple of days. What do you think about Tel Aviv now? And they said, it's great. We're having a great time. We didn't know how much fun Tel Aviv is. So I think if we're talking digital tourism, and if we're talking about the characteristics of the Tel Avivian tourist, we should really use the social media. We should really be smart using the social media.
How are you using it? Give me
Yeah.
an example.
We have to transfer the experiences, the good vibe, the happiness, the good time these tourists have here, and use them as ambassadors to the whole world. Not paid advertisement, but if we manage to connect their experience, the happiness, with the sites, with the old Jaffa, the Jaffa Port, the Sarona, Tel Aviv Harbor, nightlife, beautiful girls, restaurant, parties, and if they experience that, and if they can share that to all their friends, with the beautiful girls with the bikini on the beach, and share that experience to their friends, unpaid, not paid, but authentic, organic, I'm sure their friends will come and want to follow them. So this is, I think, one way of being smart with social media.
You're talking about beautiful girls, and exactly.
boys.
I just read that Tel Aviv is the best gay city in the world. How did it get to that point? With all the respect to the beautiful girls, with the bikini.
If you want to make a change, I mean, the gay community, the LGBT community, is a great example of using the internet and the online advertising. If you want to make a massive change in a market, and we can address people according to their interests, according to their hobbies, according to their personal likings, so we can locate those gay and lesbian, gay community, and we can deliver and expose the values of the city, just like Jordi had said, the gay-friendly city. So if you're a party lover, you can come to the parade to the parade in June. If you just want to resort and you want to enjoy art and architecture, and not being asked at the lobby. If two guys enter the lobby, they're not asked if they want separate beds, and they can hold hands in the street and restaurants because we're a gay-friendly site.
Maybe they're just friends and they want separate beds.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes they want separate rooms.
Okay, that's also married couples, you know.
Okay.
So if you could use,
Let's talk about
address-
this.
Yeah.
Now you're speaking.
Yeah. So if we can address these values and these experiences throughout the world and address and communicate them directly to the gay community, this is one way of using
The reason
mass
I'm asking
marketing.
Yael is basically because, I mean, the reason that there are like so many of them, and when you live around Dizengoff in Tel Aviv and the area, you see them all the time, and not only during Pride Week. By the way, you tried to have another Pride Week during
Yeah.
Christmas time. Did it work?
Yeah, it was an experience. We felt it's going to be good because it was a short time. It was right after the events in the summer.
But the point I'm trying to make is this is definitely digital tourism, because the reason they're coming is because they found out through friends and through social media about Tel Aviv, and that's the reason why they're coming.
Yeah, and because we managed to expose the values of the city to a specific targeted audience.
This is the most growing community of travelers in Tel Aviv?
It's the most significant, although we don't exactly know the numbers, but it's significantly a growing market. But we're going to do the same with marathon runners, with culinary lovers, with other fields.
Josh, I'll be with you in a minute, but just a moment. I'm not just actually. Shlomo,
One little remark that
when
the
they,
Israeli
you know,
cuisine-
those LGBT people are welcome in Jerusalem too. Just
The answer is yes. Actually, I've been speaking regularly for the last month with a very significant travel blogger, impressive and influential. He happens to be gay, and he actually said he comes to Jerusalem because he appreciates the gay scene there. And he has said that he likes Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv has a great scene as well, but he likes the Jerusalem scene more. And they do come. And there are actually, to the credit of Tel Aviv, there's a very great hotel that's actually being mimicked now again in Jerusalem, directly designed for them, designed for the gay community, and I think it's great. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to bring new tourists as well.
Muslim tourists that Anat just mentioned.
Just one small remark, the Israeli Ministry of Tourism supports the gay festivals, and we publish it around the world. There are places in the world that we are not allowed to publish gay, and thanks God to the digital, they have international internet sites that they can see everything going on around the world, and they're coming even from countries which publications about gays are unallowed.
Okay. Do you get Muslims, Shlomo? Just a moment, Jordi. Hold on for a second.
We have also an important...
The question was to Shlomo. Yeah, Mordechai, sorry. Go ahead. We'll get back to you later. But let's finish the Muslim issue. I wanted to finish with you, Mordechai. Yes. Which turned out to be Shlomo for the last few minutes.
It's okay. My son's named after a Shlomo, so there you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. The spiritual. That's because you're from Jerusalem.
Okay.
And I talked about. Do you also work with Eastern Jerusalem?
Eastern Jerusalem, yes, we do, in two different ways. One is I know that they are the major part of the startup ecosystem that we pride ourselves in Jerusalem. We have 5 pockets of basically startup scenes in Jerusalem. One of the largest ones is in East Jerusalem, and that's been a growing scene. That's one. And we have some of the most popular hotels in Jerusalem, besides the luxury ones, are also situated in East Jerusalem, and we use that growth of the community there to help increase tourism.
And you get them through digital media?
Yeah, I actually, since I manage the accounts, I can tell you personally that I do engage with both tourists from Berlin, the United States, Canada, and as well as Muslim tourism as well.
Do you have sites in Arabic?
We have sites in Arabic. We do not yet, but we're working on that as we speak. It's personally my responsibility.
Jody, I'll be with you in a minute. We didn't hear Josh yet, and summing up everything that we're hearing now, you come from the U.S. and give us your input, your comments of what you've seen through your experience.
Sure. Well, I spend a lot of my time focused on, researching things that are small today, maybe even, a couple individuals in a garage that may be huge tomorrow. And I did some research this morning, just looking at, how big is the online travel space, just kind of taking a step back and, getting a perspective. And it was fascinating to me. The numbers were anywhere from 300 billion with a B to $1 trillion, depending on what study I was looking at. Now, this is an industry that didn't really exist 15, 20 years ago. And if you were to tell somebody 15, 20 years ago that you would book a hotel by going to www.booking.com or hotel.com and putting in a credit card, it just they would think you were crazy. So this stuff, this stuff can change pretty dramatically over pretty short periods of time. And that's where I spend, most of my time, kind of looking at stuff. So I guess the 3 most interesting things to me right now and what I see changing over the next, 5, 10 years. One is the digital currency space. Bitcoin is popular, but there's anywhere from 500, 600 now different digital currencies that are out there. Booking a flight, booking a hotel room. Expedia now accepts Bitcoin, but it's still very difficult to book a trip from beginning to end using Bitcoin. Another trend that's fascinating to me is the different spellings of the domain name structure is undergoing massive changes right now, linguistically too. So there's something like 150, 160 different languages now in domain names. So there's native Cyrillic. Different types of Cyrillic. There's Bulgarian domain names, there's Russian domain names, there's Ukrainian domain names, so it gets very, very specific. Not everybody speaks English as much as, You know, and I guess the third trend, which is interesting to me too, is this concept of finding what's going on in the now. So it was mentioned that you know, startup tourism, say, is a trend. You know, how do I find out if I'm a tourist in Tel Aviv? Now, how do I find out that there are, you know, startup-related events happening here, you know, at this conference? That information tends to be kind of locked in information silos. So figuring out how to unlock that information so people can find it, that's an interesting space too.
Jody?
Wow. No, I think what we were talking before, if you have, and people comes to visit here, we're talking about lesbians and gays, etc., and I'm just imagining Barcelona, I would say, why do they came? You can sell a product, you can do marketing, but if the product is not good, people won't buy it. So if they realize to come and visit, which in fact is a product, the city itself is a product, it has to be acceptable for the visitor. That means it has to be open in this area. It has to be tolerant. If you're not the product as it is being expected, then it's a mess, and then you backfire. So I think when we're doing marketing, and that's what most of us are doing here, you have to take into account that you're dealing with a very sophisticated product, which is a city. And the elements which trot around that box are citizens, which have their own opinions, their own ideas, and they move normally in an unexpected way. Although we think we know what they are going to do, they don't do what we expect them to do at that moment. So it's very funny to work with that. So marketing, cities, human beings is more elaborated than it seems. And technology helps us, but it doesn't solve the main issue, which is how to interact between or among human beings. I think it's all about that, and it's a bit interesting. And technology is helping us to make management, segmentation, and things like that. But it doesn't solve the main key question, is how human beings interact.
Yeah, we have a few minutes left. I'd like to use the opportunity and meet some of you. If you have questions to our panel, to some of our members in the panel, this is the time, gentlemen, girls, anyone in between.
Very shy.
Everybody is shy. Okay.
Very Israeli.
They're very Tel Avivian. Do you have any comments about something that we just heard? Okay, go ahead. You are?
My name is Alex.
Yeah, have a יש לך מיקרופון, Alex.
Hello, yes, my name is
Shalom,
Alex.
Alex.
Good day to everyone. I have a question to...
Where are you from, Alex?
I'm from Israel.
Ah,
From Carmiel, you know. It's
from Carmiel.
Yes. I can say it's abroad, but it's in Israel. So yes, I have a questions for the girls from Tel Aviv. Yael, sorry. What is the, you said that there is new tourists that coming to, there's gay Muslims, or like people that coming, and we talked about the security, the situation in Israel, the war that goes on here from time to time. How actually do you make people come, although the situation is like this? Like, what do you say to those people?
I think that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, together with the Ministry of Tourism at parts, found that Tel Aviv is a brand that doesn't mix with the local conflict. Tel Aviv is a good marketing brand to market Israel, not in a way that is not connected to the local conflict.
With the exception of last summer.
Yeah. But
I
this
know many guests
but
in Rothschild Avenue
but
who had to run to shelter during last summer. How did it affect you?
okay. So I'll just finish the sentence. What I'm saying is that we have to deliver, we have to expose the life in Tel Aviv, the good message, the good vibe, the blend of the fun of the city, and to transmit that with through digital tourism throughout the world. This is one way to overcome the conflict. I think that Tel Aviv is an example, Yigal, to your question. Tel Aviv is an example because the recovery of tourism was very fast to Tel Aviv. People that come for business, and Yossi Vadi just mentioned that. We had the DLD convention in the summer, a few weeks after the events in the summer here, the war in the summer. We had 1,200 people coming from abroad to the DLD convention in Tel Aviv. They had a purpose. They came for a specific convention, innovation convention, and this is exactly the message that we have to do.
Or event that you create.
Exactly.
You're Barcelona genius in creating all those events.
So yes, you said that you actually market this. You say it's all good, everything's okay. We had this stuff, but it doesn't concern us. So it's all good. We continue as usual.
Yeah, because I think tourist is all about optimism. Tourism is about fun. Tourism is about sending these fun messages. And Tel Aviv is about fun. Tel Aviv is about vacation. And this is what we have to explore. The nightlife, the non-stop, the bars, the restaurants, conventions. This is what we have to market. By the way, I want to tell you that... Okay.
Just one word.
Yeah, just when we market Tel Aviv for conventions.
They're pushing it out of here.
When we market, a friend of mine who's a marketing manager, when she markets Tel Aviv for conventions, she said the facilities in Antalya and Tel Aviv are the same. But when the convention is over, the people are going to take the jackets off, put on jeans, and party till the end of the night. And that's our message.
And in Antalya, they don't.
No.
Maybe they're not allowed to. Who are you? Gil Azurai.
Good morning. I have a question for Anat. My name is Gil. I'm a general manager of a small hotel chain. We have 3 hotels in Jerusalem and 1 in the south. I live in the center, but I feel like I'm from Jerusalem. And my question is, what are you doing now? The hotels are empty. We have in Jerusalem almost 10,000 rooms in our city, and they are empty right now, and we are feeling the hoteliers that we are not doing enough.
It's always the same, you say. Okay, look, first, everybody knows that today it's not easy to find a place which is safe around the world. It's a global village, and there is terror. Once it's terror in Paris, and once it's a volcano cloud in Finland, and then a strike on an airline company. And tourists today are used to bumpers, and especially us in Israel. Every 2 years we have an operation. Military operation, and we are trying to recover, and the tourism industry is very strong, and it shows strength, and it takes about 6 to 8 months to recover, and we enlarged our marketing efforts around the world, and we are focusing on places which are less sensitive to such situations, like Russia, for instance, even the ruble crisis there, and loyal markets to us, and actually we are trying to see recovery, slow recovery, but we are still see recovery, and we are optimistic. We enlarge our budget of marketing, and we are also trying to be attractive. The product itself has to be attractive, and we are working on it also together with the hoteliers.
Okay. Last question is mine. Who is here for the first time in Israel? Who's the first time in Israel here? You are. Where are you from? Canada. Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, all over. Winnipeg, Vancouver. Yeah, West Coast guy. Were you afraid coming here?
So, what was the question?
The question is, what's your name?
Gwendo.
Gwendo is from Vancouver, Canada. His first time in Israel. Were you afraid coming here?
Well,
that's an answer.
The government of Canada does publish travel advisories, and they're quite specific. So you know, on the page, the language is written with red lettering, so immediately it's a little bit, you know, but then when you actually read what it says, it's very specific about very particular parts of the country where they tell you to be careful. But that's certainly a piece that you do see it, and because it's all in red, it affects your. And I'll just add one piece is that in Vancouver we have a large Jewish population who has many connections, and I think tapping into that diaspora in those cities is very natural ambassadors, and that's one of the things I did was connect with people who I knew had family here.
My last word to you today would be, you have a beautiful capital, Ottawa. However, you suffered a couple of terror attacks in the past few months. Tel Aviv is quiet for many years now. Have people from Ottawa travel to Tel Aviv. Toda rabba.
Thank you. Thank you, Yigal Avi. Thank you very much for this great panel.